good evening. Welcome to RTD's English News. Tonight, as major headlines are: the PSD hold up Ismail Margele in the 2016 election. Zimbabwe welcomes the yuan as a new currency.
Those were the top stories. Welcome to our newsroom. The extraordinary Congress of the Social Democratic Party PSD took place this morning at the Palace of the People. The ceremony has started in the presence of the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mohammed Haid, the Prime Minister Abdelkader Kamil Mohammed, the President of the National Assembly Mohammed Ali Ahmed, the Presidents of UMP, different allied parties, as well as invited guests. This ceremony has been decorated by songs and traditional dances in national languages. Let's recall that before the official opening of the Congress, the PSD has in the first place begun the works of this extraordinary Congress, which brought together all the activists and officials of the PSD. Note at the end that the party PSD is the only political party led by a woman, in this case, Mrs. Hasna Mumin Bahdon Farah.
In her official speech, Ms. Hasna Mumin Bahdon said that the PSD party has designed the President Gele for a candidate of 2016 election. Ms. Hasna Mumin Bahdon has thus declared in her speech that the PSD fully support the Democratic Party of President Gele.
naga dhaaftay gudoomiyaha politiga ee partiga PSD wuxuu qaraar soo qaatay inuu musharaxa PSD yahay mudane Ismail Umar Geli. walaalayaal waxaan niga rabnaa oo niga codsanaynaa inaad nagu raacdin musharaxeena Ismail Umar Gele oo nooga qayb gali doona voodka soo socda hadduu alla yidhaaho bisha Abriil maad nagu raacdeen
presidents of UMP, different allied parties, have in turn congratulated the president of the Social Democratic Party, Hasna Mumin, for the choice of her party, and have all welcomed the PSD party in the coalition of the UMP. They said the first woman to be president of a political party among the UMP coalition, how the PSD party was a singular and unique in that sense. They emphasized how important this momentous event was for the UMP coalition to choose the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Margele, as the 2016 election candidate, as the figurehead and protector of stability and the national unity.
Permettez-moi tout d'abord, cher Hasna Bardon, de vous féliciter ainsi que les membres de la direction du PSD pour cette formidable mobilisation de vos militants pour ce congrès extraordinaire. Cela demande que votre parti reste lié à sa base et c'est très important. Le garant de l'unité nationale et de la paix reste Ismail Omar Guelleh. Il nous appartient à tous de le soutenir. Vive le PSD, vive l'UMP, vive la République.
أنا وقاضي مقعي جارك يا مقع حسبي قبيل آد بدو ما صنتهاي طلدا القادتين إنه مشرحين النقض مدحوينها الدلكة مدن إسماعيل عمر قال لي آد بلوش اللويننا وأن يقرب جونا وحان كبيجين نوا عن رجينا إن قول عن كجارلو.
The president of the UMP and vice president of RPP party state that the PSD Social Democratic Party is one of the pillars of the UMP coalition. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has recalled that the PSD also support the effort of the President of the Republic and the sovereign policy in the development. The Prime Minister expressed by congratulating Hasna Mumin Bahdon to be the first woman to be the president of a political party among the UMP coalition and remind how important this solemn moment constitute a renewal and opportunity to testify our solidarity with regard to the PSD in the framework of the strong links which unite our movement respective policy within our UMP alliance. The Prime Minister has underlined the recent events that occur in Bulduqa. He stressed how important was to show a common solidarity in its strict term in the life of a nation where covering and views of a sense responsibility between the force of goods will require its importance. He reminded the PSD attachment to the patriotic values as well as their faith in the supremacy of the higher interests of the nation. He said that it is why I remain confident and satisfied that our party, as all those gathered within the UMP coalition, will not hesitate to redouble its effort in the face of adversity, continuing as they have always done to work tirelessly in the track of the maintenance of the peace and social cohesion in our countries.
Source de bonheur, de paix et de prospérité. Enfin, pour finir, je souhaite plein succès dans vos travaux aux congressistes ainsi qu'une bonne, heureuse année à tous. Je vous remercie.
Still on the extraordinary congress of the Social Democratic Party, which has been held this morning at the Palace of the People, the works of this congress have continued. During this work, the committee of the PSD has re-elected Mrs. Hasna Mumin, chairperson of the PSD, where in a wake the delegates have in the unanimity proclaimed the President Ismail Margele as candidate for future presidential elections of 2016.
Avant d'entrer dans le vif du sujet, vous me permettrez sans doute de rendre grâce à Allah, l'unique, sans associé, qui nous a permis de nous retrouver en ce jour de notre congrès. Permettez-moi également de rendre un hommage mérité aux militantes et militants qui, dès les premières heures de la création de ce parti, ont spontanément adhéré à ses idéaux. C'est grâce à leur détermination, à leur foi inébranlable qu'ils ont pu braver toutes les adversités pour maintenir vivante la flamme du parti. Mes remerciements vont également aux membres du comité d'organisation de ce congrès. Je mesure le poids de la responsabilité que représente cette fonction et je m'engage devant vous à m'investir pour l'exercer en toute impartialité dans le respect des opinions de chacun et en étant attentif à la liberté d'expression. Mesdames et messieurs, chers congressistes, enfin, permettez-moi de vous exprimer mes sentiments de gratitude d'être venus si nombreux nous témoigner de votre soutien et de votre attachement au PSD. Vive la République de Djibouti, vive le PSD.
Under the honorary patronage of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport has organized several activities under the sign of a peace entitled March Memory in the context a conference between the young and senior on the importance of the place and the role of the actors has been organized in Abha by the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport. Under the tree were held the discussion of the peace agreement in 1994.
In accordance with its plan of professional training, the moderate short duration intended for young school dropouts, the MENFOB launched the second promotion of training in driving trucks, semi-trailer and construction equipments this morning on the military side in Balbala. It has been organized jointly by the representatives of Technical Education Vocational Training General Directorate and the Army Forces of Djibouti FAD. The first day of the pre-selection tests has been started with the first group of candidates for the examination on the driving of vehicles. These tests will continue during 3 days, and on the basis of the results of the pre-selection tests involve fact sheets of the candidates. 3 groups of 200 candidates will be selected and continue the training for a period of 3 months. The organizers have also benefited from this day to inform the young candidates on the modalities of implementing the training and have insisted on the exemplary behavior expected from the young people during their training.
After Babala, the youth of neighborhood 7 have launched in their turn a public awareness campaign on the peace. They went to each household in the neighborhood to explain the usefulness of the peace, without which no development is possible. They also exchanged with the all social classes in consolidate the national peace, which is the basis of a success and positive impact of all major projects, in the course of which the young people will be the first beneficiaries after meeting and exchange with the population. This campaign is very beneficial, especially for the young people who are the future of the country. This kind of a campaign is going to take place in each neighborhood as well as in the region of the interior.
laakiin waxaan anagu aan qaban karayna baa jirta maad aragtay oon isku daynay inta imkaan ururkaan ku sheegay aan samaysanay askartu naga nabad gashay wixii intana gaarin anaga xalinaba haddii wixii dhacay dawladda u yeer dawladda la ma noqonayso sababta u dambaysan la waxaan nabadina san xalisanay waan isku duubnaan baan xalisan lahayn iyo isfaham qofka dadka kii qaldan wax loo sheego la ilaahdo waad qaldantay walaalkay wasan baa ka fiican soo sooco anu dhisaan baan ku oran la ma aragtay inaan
maqalnay dhalintii xaafadda oo dhinac kasta ka socota jawabul sinimo oo jamaa'iri ka socota waxay kaarsad ka socota waxay isku yimaadeen inay ka wada hadlaan nabadda iyo sidii loo adkeyn lahaa nabadda marka adiga odayaasha xaafadda kamid ah sidee u arkaysaa nabadda oo sidee dhalinta ula qayb geli lahayd
nabaddu waa inoo wada dan wadankana waa u dan horumarna waxa lagu gaadhaa waa nabad la'aan horumar lama gaari karo
warun nabadlaan horumar laguma gaaro oo wadanadan horumar u gaaray waa wadana nabadkii adkeeyay wadanadan kale dagaalkii oo isku laagyaaq civilkuna waa wadanada arkaynaba sidii ku sugan yihiin marka aan sideed noolo qayb gal lahayd oo loo adkeyn lahaa nabadda
waxa weeye horta waad ku mahadsantihiin dhalinyarta soo abaabushay annaguna diyaar baan u nahay inaan nagala qayb galno maadaama aan nahay odayadii xaafadda magaca ururkana waa nagala qayb galaynaa diyaar baan u nahay
asalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatu maanta dhalintay xaafadda kaartiyeseed oo iskugu timiday si ay xaafadda uga wacdigelin lahayd nabadoo cid kaste qusaysa runtii askar oo keliya iyo dowladdu nabaddu ma qusayso inay shacbiguna nabadda doorkooga iyakuna dee ay ciyaaraan hadday hooyo tahay hadday aabba tahay hadday dhallinyar tahay inay nin kastaba nabaddu wax quseeya ay tahay ayaan dee xagga uga macnaynaynay si dee aanu wada ogsoonaano inay nabaddu nabada qusayso nin kastoo qarankan sheeganayaba oo leh reer jabuuti baan nahay inay nabadda qarankani uu na quseeyo ayaan dee wacdi yaroo caynka ayaan abaabulnay sida magaalada qayrkeed ay ka hirgashay sida wadamaha xaafadaha kale xayaabley xaafadaha qaarkood way ka hirgashay iminka maanta waxay ahayd doorkii xaafadda kaartiyesaad si aan annagu dhalintii haddaan nahay aan ugu wacdigelin lahayn nabadda waxaa dhici karaya wax aan nabadda ka qaban karano wuxuu markuu de naga wen yahayna inaan de ogeysiino dowladda wixii inaku aan xallin karanana inay intaan de annagu dadkii ahaan society civil ahaan movemooyada associationada wixii aan xallin karano.
In addition, the young people of Section 7 Peace neighborhood have also conducted a similar campaign to consolidate peace in our country. They have made the door-to-door in different homes of this section for raising awareness on the value and usefulness of the peace for the Djiboutian population, but especially for the young people who are the forces of the future. The population of the neighborhood has welcomed this initiative come to the share of young people who are concerned about the future of the country and their own future. They thanked and have encouraged them to perpetuate this action of good citizenship.
maanta waa dhalinyartii xaafadaan ahay waxaan maanta kusoo siyaaranay waxaan maanta shucuur baan ugu dhalatay wadannimo inaan nabadda ka hadalno nabaddii iyo horumarkii oo isku xidhan maadaama isku xidhan yihiin ciddii ka faa'iidaysanaysa dhalinyarta taana waxa annaga u aragnay inaan ka shaqeyno nabadda xoojino marka adiguna maxaad ka leedahay
aad iyo aad ba wanaagsan tahay anigu waan idinku faraxsanahay sida ay isugu soo wada baxdeen nabadgelyada waddanka aa ugu diyaartihiin aniguna hooyooyinka waddanka ka mida ayaan ahay sidaasi darteed anigu waan idin garab joogaa allah idinku guuliyaan leeyahay nabaddaanu jecelahay waxa weeyaan waddankeenna waa wada arkaysaan waxa horumar ka socda waxa wanaag ka socda waxa iskool ka socda ilaa anigu waan joogay 75 ilaa iminkaan joogay maanta maalin uu ka fiican yahay waddanku ma arkaayo
nabadda waddankeennana waan jecelahay waanan doonaynaa kuwa xaye kuwan waxaynba nabad baa dano ah waa inaanan nabad ku wada soconno nabadna lagu wada noolaado dhalinyarta dhulkeenna iyo dalkeennana allaha noo soo wada hadeeyo allaha inoo hagaajiyo
maanta waan arkayaa dhalinyar aad isku wada midaysan oo gacan quraata noqotay oo nabad doonaysa oo nabad ka shaqaynaysa waxaanu leenahay haddii aan anagu dhalinyartii waddanka nahay nabaddu iyo amniga dalku wuxuu ku xidhan yahay horumarku amniga dalku ku xidhan yahay horumarkana waxaa ka faa'iidaysanaysa dhalinyarta waddanka marka ma jeclin inay dhalinyartu maaragtay ku dhacdo bilaa horumar ma jeclin inay waddankeenu nabad la'aan ka dhacdo ninkii nabadda maaragtay doonaya inuu qallaaso waddanka ka rido amba dhibaato u keenana anagu waan diidanaa
wadaasha xaafadda nahay dhalinyartu waxay wado aad baan ugu faraxsannahay waana jecelnahayna sidaas nabaddana waan jecelnahay annaguna waan garab joogna haddaad dhalinyartii tihiin sidaas ugu tagteenna allaha isku keen maartay isku keen jeclaysiiyo horumarka iyo waddankana insha allah allaha ni garansiiyo isku dubnida maanta aad baan ugu faraxsannahay wadaasha xaafadda iyo shuuqii xaafadda haddaan nahay insha allah
horta haddaan dhalinyartii reer kartoonaan nahay kartiile haddaan nahay fikirkaasi wallahi in badan nagu jiray waxaan u baahnayn wax noo bilaaba oo noo yimaada haddaan dad reer kartoon nahay horta nabaddu way fiican tahoo nabaddu waa shayga ugu qaalisan inkastoon anaku aan dhalinyartii aan nahay nabaddaasi weligeedba wayna jiri doontaana
anagoo dhalinyartii kaarseed biisa xaafadda kartile fikirkii dhalinyarta dhex yaaliyo ismiin baan ku rayaaqnay aad bay noo cajabisay markaasaa darteed waxaa shucuur baa naga imatay inaan nabadda ka shaqeyno xoojino maadaama nabaddu ay tahay wixii ummaddu ay ku deganayd xasilloonadii nabaddu wax laga maarmaan ay tahay cid waliba ay u tahay yar iyo weyn iyo hooyo ababa nabaddu inay wax laga maarmaan tahay waa la isku raacsanahay cidna kama dahano saa darteed anaga shucuur dhallinyarnimaa nagu dhalisay inaan nabadda ka hadalno ka shaqeyno aan quwadeyno maadaamay dhallinyartu cidda maanta ka faa'iidaysanaysa horumarka ay tahay ay horumarkii iyo nabaddii ay isku xidhan yihiin waxaan muhiim waajib aan u aragnay inaan nabaddii ka shaqeyno ummaddii aan kala hadalno muhiimadda ay leedahay dadkii aan tusno marka waan isku waraacin dhalinyartiina waan isku imanay waan fadhiisannay fikirka waan hirgelinay waana ku rayaaqnay fikirka dhalinyarta reex yaable ay soo maartay hormoodka ay ka hayeen waana ku faraxsannahay.
And now, concerning the news outside of the country, in Tanzania, 2 peacekeepers from UN mission in South Sudan are part of a team that has embarked on an expedition to climb Mount in Kilimanjaro to convey a message of peace and stability for Africa. Colonel Deepinder is leading the team and hopes to reach the continent's highest peak at the age of 19. Let's listen for more details.
Peacekeepers from the UN mission in South Sudan have successfully scaled Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, the tallest mountain on the African continent, with an objective of promoting peace in Africa. Clad in blue t-shirts, these men packed their bags and prepared to head for Tanzania on a mission of peace. The peacekeepers with the United Nations mission in South Sudan departed from Juba, South Sudan, for Kilimanjaro mountain in Tanzania. They climbed the tallest mountain in Africa and hoisted the UN flag at the top as a symbol of peace for all countries and especially peace for South Sudan. The team carried a UN flag with the word Kilimanjaro Climb for Peace written on it, a befitting way to leave a lasting mark after ending their service in South Sudan.
In Zimbabwe, surprising recent announcement that it will shift to the Chinese yuan and as its reserve currency is a sign of friendship to China, but probably not much more, say regional business people and economists. The announcement last week raised eyebrows among economists outside the country. More details with Saeed Mohammed.
In the suburb of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, lies a Chinese-invested shopping mall. The Horizon Ivato supermarket is jointly managed by Chinese and Zimbabwe personnel. People there say it is good news that yuan could be directly used in the future. I believe it's a positive initiative for Zimbabwe and China. I think it's really going to help our market as Zimbabwe grow, because we are going to have a multi-currency system which will then be able to be used to grow our local currency as well as to help us better exchange. So I think it'll be great initiative because we have a lot of companies which are investing in Zimbabwe as well, and China has been able to open a few companies. More companies are opening up each and every year, so definitely this is a positive impact on our currency, and it will really grow the economy from next year, said Darrell Jonga, the area manager of the supermarket. As for the coming in of yuan for the Chinese, it actually bring more investors in Zimbabwe, which will actually add more on our economy, business. More investors will come, which will actually add in on our people being employed in Zimbabwe. The economy has been going down, so the coming in of the yuan in Zimbabwe will actually be a positive note in Zimbabwe, said Brian, the manager of the supermarket. The customers of the supermarket are also thrilled. I think it's very exciting because we have a lot of look east policy, and it's going to strengthen our relationship with Zimbabwe since we have so many Chinese in our country right now. So I think it's a very good idea, and it's going to be easy for us to use. Chinese yuan customer, the Chinese yuan is becoming more international. The International Monetary Fund last month admitted the yuan into its benchmark currency basket, a recognition of Beijing as a global economic power.
The International Monetary Fund said that the $3 billion Russia loaned to Ukraine in 2013 was indeed an intergovernmental loan and not a private one, as Kyiv contests. The Ukraine government urged that the Russian loan came from the National Wealth Fund and not directly from the Russian government, and should therefore not be part of the IMF rules that require Ukraine to make good of sovereign debt as part of its bailout package. Here are the explanations in this report.
The Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund has recognized Ukraine's $3 billion debt to Russia as official and sovereign, a status Kiev has been attempting to contest. Russia is to sue Ukraine if it fails to pay by December the 20 deadlines. In the case of the Eurobond, the Russian authorities have represented that this claim is official. The information available regarding the history of the claim supports this representation. The IMF said in a statement, Russia asked the IMF for clarification on this issue after Kiev attempted to proclaim the debt was commercial and refused to accept Moscow's term for debt restructuring. The sovereign status of the debt means Ukraine may have to declare default as early as December the 20, when the deadline expired, unless Kiev responds to Moscow's restructuring plan. The IMF decision automatically came into effect on Wednesday evening, as no objection to treaties, the debt as sovereign has been voiced. Putin had earlier ordered that a lawsuit be filed against Ukraine if it fails to pay in debt within 10 days grace period following the deadline. Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said last Monday that he didn't believe Kiev was going to pay.
That is it for tonight's news, and have a wonderful evening.